back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo and we are starting a vlog slash challenge video today and I'm super excited about it. So a little background on this video before we dive into everything. Me and my friend Autumn Ashley, who is also here on YouTube, please go give her some love, met when the world was falling apart in 2020. As many people did, we started making friends online and we started joining these communities because we were all stuck inside. And Autumn and I met in June of 2020, so pretty early on. And I think we might have met technically in May, but we became really good friends starting in June 2020. So we always say that June is kind of our friendiversary because we streamed together for the first time in June and it was a disaster. Honestly, I think that video has been privated because it was such a mess. But we have been streaming and talking and we became really close throughout all of that over the years. And for the last 4 years, we have just grown our friendship into something magical that I'm really happy to celebrate. We actually did a couple friendiversary streams. I believe we did one in 2021 and one in 2022, but we missed last year. We didn't celebrate at all publicly. So for this year, we decided to do a double challenge vlog. And that challenge is reading a book to buddy read and review together and writing something to submission. So the book has already been picked. It is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And this is a YA dystopian book with magic. It was hugely popular, set Victoria Aveyard on the map, and I have actually read this before. I don't think I remember a single thing about it, but I've read it before and then never continued, so it's been years and I always wanted to reread it so I can finish the series, just to say I did because I own all of them. My booktuber habits back in the day were buy everything and buy entire series, and we've grown since then. But this is lingering. So this is going to be Autumn's first time reading Red Queen and my second time reading it. But I'm excited because I gave this a 4-star originally, so I apparently liked it enough. I guess we'll see how my thoughts stay the same or change this time around. The second part of this video is going to be a writing challenge. So we are combining a reading challenge and a writing challenge in one video. And the writing challenge is going to be to write a short story, swap it with each other, give some feedback edits, do some edits, maybe swap it one more time, and submit. So there are 2 potential themes we looked into. One was through elegant literature, and they don't announce their theme until the 1st of the month. And the other one is Havok, which already has its theme, and it's Remember September. I'll leave both of those literature magazines down below, but both of them are free to submit to, and Elegant pays an amount of money if you get published, whereas the Havok is just for free and to get your name out there. So our goal is to write a 1,000-word short story, no matter which one we select. And I told Autumn, since this is gonna be like her first time like really working through and submitting something, that she could pick and let me know which magazine we're submitting to. So overall, I'm really excited just to have this video, to be reading a book with my bestie, to also be writing and swapping stories together. I think it's gonna be a fun time and I can't wait to take you guys along for the ride. Buckle up, let's see how this journey goes, and I will come back when I have something to say. Hello friends, it's June 6th and Autumn got back to me on where she wants to submit. We were actually debating between elegant literature and Havok because both of them are flash fiction under 2,000 words, and we wanted to try to keep our writing samples pretty short, so about 1,000 either way. And we both felt like the Havok theme, which was Remember September, was a little easier to write because elegant literature is doing secret societies, which is super fun, but both of us felt like we might end up overwriting. This short story is due on the 28th of June, so we have about 3 weeks to write this and get feedback and eventually submit it. And I'm really excited. I like my idea. I'm actually kind of making a humorous fantasy story about a little girl and a goblin, and I'm really excited for it. So I think we're gonna have fun, and I'm gonna start writing because I had a cancellation at work and I have a little bit more free time because I have been doing really well with keeping up on all of my like work and things I need to consider and prep for. I've had a lot of cancellations this week, so I've had some time to get things done. I'm gonna write a little bit until my next session at noon. I just got the audiobook for Red Queen as well, and I'm trying to power through and get my book club book done first. That isn't due until 2 weeks, but I really want to get into Red Queen because I think the audiobook is going to be really easy. I've already read Red Queen once, and it's been a few years. I don't remember anything. So I think the audiobook will be a really great way to breeze through it, but I probably won't start that for a few more days. So I'll update you guys when I do something more. Hello friends, it's Sunday, May 9th, and since my little update earlier in the week, I just want to let you know that that day that I was at work, I wrote about 500 words, which is half the word count, 1,000 words. And I love this little story. It is basically like a little middle grade short story that I'm writing, and it's nice because this is like one, a little bit fun and whimsical, and two, allows me to kind of play with middle grade because there are 2 books that maybe one day will come into existence that would probably fit a middle grade audience more. And that's not something I have any experience in, so I would love to kind of play around through short stories to get that voiciness and the age right. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I know the story at this point, and I want to go back and add a few things in, but I have writing club tomorrow on the 10th. So I decided I'm not going to write anything for the rest of the weekend because it's a short story. It's 1K. I'm at writing club for 2 hours. I will knock out this first draft / maybe draft and a half because, like I said, I am going to go back and tweak something because I initially thought, okay, I have like, here's the story, what's the point? And I realized that I'm probably missing the fact that this little girl doesn't want to go to school, like she's nervous, and I think I need to add that in and kind of have like the resolution of like, hey, we gotta try the hard things. So I'm putting that off till tomorrow. In the meantime, I continued reading Red Queen. Now, I started this like a month ago when Autumn and I decided we wanted to do this, and then I just could not sit and read it. And then I got the audiobook on Libby, and I switched to Red Queen after really struggling with my last audiobook, and like the chapter number 2 was just rough. I was like, oh god, this is gonna put me into book slump. So I took a few days off. Today I am now in chapter 8 and I'm back and I'm into it. The thing about Red Queen is that it's an easy book to read. I already read this once and I remember flying through it. Like, I did read this physically once before and I was like, yeah, I could get with it. I can definitely see where the Divergent and Hunger Games influences are coming into this with magic. Like, that's really like how the difference is like Hunger Games and Divergent were like more so like they were normal people living in a dystopian, whereas this is like normal people in a dystopian, plus we have these silver bloods that have magic. Like, they evolved more in depth with these magical abilities, whereas the red bloods are like the normal humans who never evolved and had this nothing special about them. So the silvers are in the rule and the reds are just kind of under them, and that's where like the districts versus the capital kind of play comes in, because like anybody who lives in the red cities, like the red places, are like really broke, poor, like stealing or like just getting by, and the silvers are wealthy, rich, entitled. So they have like a king and queen, and at this point, and I'm trying not to spoil too much, but Mare, the main character, has got herself into an incident which has caught the royal Silverbloods' attention, and now she is stuck in their company, kind of doing a lie in order to survive and kind of explain why she's an anomaly and why she's in court. I probably won't say much more that won't be spoilery after this, but I just wanted to let you know that now that I have finally got over my listening slump, this is a great read and it's fun. Like, I'm not gonna say this is a great book necessarily right now, but I am just having fun with it. It kind of reminds me of how when I reread Twilight like 2 years ago. I know Twilight objectively is not necessarily a good book, but I had fun reading it, and that's just how I'm feeling with this. I'm not necessarily thinking this is gonna be the best series in the world, but I will enjoy what I'm reading. So that's where we're at. I will probably come back tomorrow to update more on the writing aspect of this friendiversary challenge, but just wanted to kind of throw in that little update there. Okay, talk to you guys later. Hi friends, it is Tuesday, June 11th, and I'm in my office because I think my 10 o'clock is no showing me. So I'm gonna do a quick little update so that we can chat and I can let you guys know where we're at. So last night I had writing club and I did indeed finish my short story. I feel really good about it. Like I went back, I edited just a couple lines here and there, cleaned some things up, and just wrote the story. I feel good about where it's at. I am gonna go through it again, make sure like my tenses are normal, make sure that I'm using my words precisely. I think I ended the story around 958 words, so we are definitely in the range that we need to be in. Can't be over 1K. And I also reached out to Autumn today to let her know that I finished my short story and will be sending it her way sometime this week to review and give some feedback on. But I really like the story. It was just really fun to write and really cute, and we'll see how it goes, but I'm just excited to submit it, you know? As far as my book goes, I am 65% of the way through Red Queen. And I don't have too much to say. It's an easy, breezy read for sure. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. The only thing I will note that is a little bit like, I'm just wondering it now because maybe I missed it, but I'm trying to figure out like, why are they at war? I don't know if it's ever stated anywhere about why they're at war and who they're at war with. I think they're at war with the Reds, or the rebels, but is it like, I don't think it was ever specifically stated. So they're always talking about war, but the Reds go to war for the Silvers. I don't know. That is a little bit confusing to me. And I've read this twice now. I'm realizing that I don't remember anything about this book other than a potential love triangle that kind of is discussed at the end, where I'm getting to now. And I was like, oh, so why are we at war and why does it matter? And if the Silvers have all these magical powers, then why aren't they just like wiping people out? How are they getting defeated? There's some questions about how well this war has been planned out. But you know, it is what it is, and that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna probably finish with this book this week, and I will kind of give you my overall thoughts, but I do think I am going to power through and I'm going to finish the series once I'm done with this. So with that said, I'm gonna get going, and we'll update again when I have more to say. Hello my friends, it is Thursday, June 13th, and I am just here with a brief check-in to say I edited my story and I sent it off to Autumn. So now we wait for her to get some feedback on that and for her to eventually send me her work in progress. So that's pretty much it. I am almost done with Red Queen. So I think I will probably be finishing that by tomorrow. And I'm starting to see the cracks in this book. Even though it is enjoyable, I can see where this might fall apart down the road. And I have heard some strong opinions about how the series ended, so even though I'm going to continue with it, I'm nervous. But all in all, we're going hard. Okay, we're almost done. Hi friends, it is, oop, knocking shit over here. I'm a mess, oh my gosh, okay. It is Wednesday, June 19th, and I have 2 updates for you. I finished Red Queen. So, what an interesting, weird novel, to be honest. I don't think I would give it a 4-star anymore, but I was entertained, and it was an easy read. I still think that at the end, lost a little bit of interest, and I don't know if it was just because, like, I had read it before, but I didn't remember anything. But it started to feel very cookie cutter. And since I've read this, and that was still a couple years ago, and I've reread The Hunger Games, and I've read other books that are just so good, I think it was just kind of just nothing special at the end. I still like this world. I like that it's dystopian and how we've evolved as humans. So like humans have created this magic. It doesn't get super sci-fi, so there's not really an explanation for how we've genetically evolved or why. Like there's not necessarily like a as far as I remember, there's not a reason that's labeled out like, oh, the earth is getting hotter and hotter, so we evolved to be able to be suitable. That's not it. And also then too, like we're in kind of like the middle ground of this evolution, you know, because there are still Reds. There are still people who don't have special powers, which means like whatever would have amplified this change in humans and genetics to have magical abilities it hasn't completely wiped out the lesser race of humans, you know? Second, the other issue I have with that is the magical abilities don't really make sense. There's like no reason that's actually out there. Again, like Earth isn't like dying out and super hot, so we had to adapt, or there's not like an alien abduction, so we had to adapt. Like there's no reason we're given for why we adapted the way we did, so there's no reason for why we have these specific abilities either, other than the fact that it sounds cool. And I am aware that I'm writing a novel with people with magical abilities that we don't have, like, there's not necessarily a reason, but it is a similar aspect of like their genetic mutations. So it's kind of like X-Men. But we're also in we're in a high fantasy dystopian world in my book. So like magic can happen because we don't necessarily need a reason for this. But in this book, this is on Earth, I believe. To my ability, nothing has challenged me in this aspect. I'm pretty sure this is our Earth, but later in life. So there's no reason why this happened. And I know I'm a critical reader. I still had fun. I'm not going to say like I wouldn't read it, and I am going to continue with the series. But I'm just like, when I'm thinking about like how I want to review it, that was something that stuck out to me as like, why are we doing all of this? Why is it a thing? And why is our Red Queen, our main character, special? I hope we get answers for this, but we'll see. And then the love interests honestly bored me. When I remember reading this, like that was the only thing I could really remember in this book series was the two princes and the love triangle. And initially I had fun with it, but this time around I was like, they both sound terrible. Why are we doing this? And I don't know. There's just a lot of questions. I just have questions. So in one way, I want to continue because I do have those questions, and I'm hoping it gets answered in book 2. But in the second way too, there's questions that are asked that just remind me so much of the Hunger Games, and specifically Mockingjay. Like I felt like Victoria Aveyard read Mockingjay and went, oh, I'm going to do that. Which not a shade, because Mockingjay is amazing, and I would love to have Suzanne Collins' writing ability and her mind, because she's just so good. I have so many videos on the Hunger Games. Go check them out on my channel if you want to learn all of my thoughts on the Hunger Games, because I'm obsessed. But for this one specifically, it didn't really work out nearly as well, but it's literally the same concept. So spoilers, if you haven't read this and you want to, I'm going to talk about the ending real quick. Literally, it's exactly how the Hunger Games ended, where we had these love interests that were divided, and one betrayed the other. So it's kind of like Peeta being brainwashed and betraying Katniss, and then Katniss goes into District 13. So they go into like the outer lands that are supposed to be radioactive, and nobody's supposed to live there, aka District 13. And they go out there and they end, and like she's all bamboozled, and then she gets wrapped up in this like rebellion, like Katniss. It is just so freaking close to the Hunger Games that the first time I read this, I don't know how I missed it. The only excuse I have is that I only reread the Hunger Games in 2020, and I do think I read this in like 2019. So maybe I didn't pick up on the similarities at the time. But man, it almost just feels like a ripoff of the Hunger Games, but with magic. So I could understand why people loved it at the time. And also, this back of this too is very cool. So it says, in school we learned about the world before ours, about the angels and gods that lived in the sky, ruling the earth with kind and loving hands. Some say those are just stories, but I don't believe that. The gods still rule us. They have come down from the stars, and they are no longer kind. But the concept of gods isn't even in this novel. Like, they don't consider the Silvers gods. They consider them royalty. So, yeah. This was kind of messy, but it wasn't terrible messy. It was the kind of messy that I can point out but still have a good time and continue the series. For now, we'll see. But I'm happy I read this. I can't wait to talk to Autumn about it and see what her thoughts are. But yeah, we're done with that. And my second update is Autumn got back to me with some suggestions. And I will say, not that this short story is anywhere near perfect, but I do think because I had a clear goal going in, like I knew my theme and I knew the direction, and I tried to cut out as much bullshit in the middle. And because I was kind of writing in a more middle grade style, I think this was cleaner than I have written before in a short story, because I always try to be, I write horror. In horror, you really need to be crafty and precise with your words, and like, especially if you're trying to do like a mystery or the thrilling aspect, like you really need to like work that in. With this one, it was just a really cute story about change and accepting change. And as far as Autumn stuff goes, it was more like grammatical and placement stuff, but she really hyped me up on this story and said she loved it. I really loved writing it, so I am gonna do some edits probably today/tomorrow, probably more tomorrow if I'm honest with myself. And I am going to maybe see if one other person will read it over before I submit it, because I always like to have extra feedback before I go off and share my writing on things. Even if it's not taken for Havok, I'm still super proud of the story and I really love it. It's so cute. So that's all. That's my updates. And I'm just waiting on Autumn to send me hers, and then we'll be almost done for this challenge. So yeah, we're having a good time. Hello friends, long time no talk. It is July 22nd, and I just wanted to pop in to say that I received Autumn's short story. We had to change some things around because life happened. So I submitted for Remember September. Autumn decided to submit for Remember October. And she sent me her story and I just read through it. I am probably a little critical, not in a bad way, but I hope that my first read through gives her a good idea of what to bulk up and really amp up the tension. And I'm really excited to hear what she thinks of my suggestions, and I hope that she gets to them so I could read a second draft, because I like this concept so much and the stakes are just not quite there yet. So I'm excited though. It's late, I'm gonna go to bed now, and I will maybe come back and talk a little bit more about my editing process. Hello friends, hi, it's me. It is the 29th, a Monday of July, and I am just looking at, probably not for very long because I had a few minutes at work to take a break, but Autumn sent me her second draft of her short story, and already I'm loving it. I'm seeing some positive changes. She did take into some considerations like some of the things that I suggested. Like I did suggest it go from third person to first person because I think it'll be a little bit more intimate that way. She did take that suggestion, and I think now it's going to be like, I think she's getting it more specific, so I think it's just going to be more line edits now for me and kind of like making sure that like the impact of this short story is there. But I'm really excited to read it, and I don't know if I'll be able to get to it fully before my next session, but I am happy to like start it and start thinking about like how we can just hone this up a little bit more before she submits it by the end of the week. So we're excited. This challenge is almost done then, and I will come back when I have more time, but I do need to have a slight update to the whole Red Queen thing before I end this vlog. Hello friends, hi, I'm hot, I'm a mess. It's Wednesday the 31st. And I have to get my secondary edits to Autumn because I promised her I would be able to read it. Life got really crazy and I only got like the first 2 paragraphs. But I'm so close to the end here on finishing her story and I need to give them. So I poured myself a glass of wine. I wasn't even going to, but then I saw this. Like, look how cute he is. Oh. So I had to do it. So I just finished all my dishes. I kind of like prepped for bed essentially, like where I'm like, okay, if I have the house like tidied up, I can just spend the rest of my time, you know, getting ready for bed. So I am done now, just drying off my last pan, and I'm gonna go do some edits. And then we're gonna wrap this vlog up. So last round edits, here we go. Talk to you guys in a bit.
Yes.
Hello all, it is me. It is about 8:30 and I'm wrapping up this vlog and ending it here. So a couple updates. One, I gave Autumn all of the edits on the second round of feedback, and super proud of her. I am hoping that my edits help her a little bit and being able to just make the grammar and make the story flow better. Overall, like, she did really great from the first round to the second round, and ooh, like, the tension is just so much higher in this version. So I can't wait to hopefully read the published story in a few months. We'll have to find out how it goes, but that is where my editing stuff for her story ends now. I do have 2 updates. One, as I promised, I needed to update about Red Queen. So when I last met you guys, which was a bit ago, because I haven't read this, I think I read it in June. It's now, you know, July 31st, and I don't think I like it as much as I thought I did. The more I sit with this book, the more I just think about how much it just takes from other dystopian novels. We have magic in this that isn't well explained. We have a war that I don't know why is going on. And then, like, they leave and go to this, like, outside the wall scenario. So it just feels like every other dystopian. And from what I hear, this book series goes off the deep end later. Like, books 3 and 4, specifically 4, I hear people don't like. I started book 2 right after I finished this because I was like, well, I'm just gonna finish the series. I read about 2 hours on the audiobook, listened to 2 hours, and I just didn't care anymore. I realized that, like, I'm not interested. I don't really, like, it's nothing sucking me in. Nothing exciting was happening. And again, I had that sense of, I've read this before. And so, with the conclusion of this video, I am DNFing Glass Sword, and I am going to unhaul the series. I don't care about finishing it. I have no interest in finishing it. I just don't even remember much of this. Like, this is the second time I read this book, and I still don't remember, like, once I finished reading it, like, what actually happened in it. So, yeah, I'm probably going to demote this a little bit. I think I already demoted it to 3 stars. Maybe it'll stay that way, because it was an easy read, but I just didn't have any care about it. And yeah, that's the sad conclusion of this book. I am interested. Me and Autumn have not talked about it. Well, we talked about it a little bit, and we both kind of felt like it was a little bit, like, meh, reading it now in 2024. And it wouldn't be a vlog without wrapping up where my own story lies, because yes, you heard me correct. Yesterday, July 30th, I got the answer to whether my Havok short story was accepted or not. And the answer is, I was rejected. And honestly, it makes me a little irate. I'm actually not mad. To be honest, this was one of the best rejections I've ever gotten. They gave me feedback. They loved my story, which I think is why I'm just like, ugh. Because they basically said that I didn't follow guidelines. I'm still gonna argue that a little bit, that I didn't think using the first person POV was specifically in their guidelines. But either way, I got a really positive rejection. They actually said that, like, they didn't have a lot of feedback. It was more like just, like, little grammar things. Like, I used a lot of M dashes, and they said I needed to basically make them N dashes, E-N, instead of E-M, E-N, N dashes, which I didn't know was a thing. So I guess I have to change a little bit of that. But really, like, most of it was just, like, simple cleanups. The ending was very, like I said, very positive. They said, absolutely adorable. I loved getting to know Maisie and Barnaby and would love reading another story about them should you choose to bless us with one. Your story was super well written with great descriptions and a good grasp of grammar. Just make sure to fully read the instructions for submission next time. So super positive. Honestly, that just, even though it got rejected, this was my first time trying to write middle grade, and I think, given their feedback, I did fairly well, which makes me very happy. It was a different, like, mood to get into, and it was a different vibe. It was a lot more lighthearted than I normally write. It was a lot more about, like, overcoming, like, new things and adjusting to differences. Like, this was a story about a middle grader who was going into middle grade for the first time, and she had some anxiety about it. I really loved the story. I think I got really good feedback, but obviously if I just put it in the first person, I'm thinking it's safe to say it would have been accepted, which is a bummer. But it is encouraging to maybe, I think this story fits in third person POV, and I'm happy with keeping it. But I do think that I would maybe write another story in first person and submit it again. So that's where we're ending this. So thank you guys for sticking around. This was a friendiversary video after all. Me and Autumn have been friends for 4 solid years now. Met during the pandemic, and we didn't really do something last year because life hit us upside the head, but I was really excited to do this double challenge and really just like bond over whether we love or hate this book and whether we can hack it in submitting a short story. So thank you guys so much for watching this. Be sure to check out Autumn's video as well. I will leave that link down below. You will want to get the full side of everything, I'm sure. And until next time, I will see you then. Bye.